For Metro Atlanta homeowners who are tired of paying sky-high property taxes.
Today, Fulton County leaders balanced the 2024 budget without needing to raise property taxes, but some leaders fear necessary programs won't get paid for. Atlanta News First Patrick Quinn reports.
Budget talks can be boring. Many of you might look like Commissioner Bob Ellis, listening to your partner or financial advisor telling you how to spend your money. But a balanced budget reflects your priorities. And Fulton County just passed a $1.3 billion budget. With the major takeaway, property taxes will not be increased in 2024. At least not yet.
Do we need a millage rate increase at some point? We may. But right now, our duty is to provide a balanced budget. And we did our duty today.
Commissioner Khadija Abdur-Rahman and the Board of Commissioners approved adding roughly $2.5 million to county arts and culture. To do so, they had to cut $2 million in overtime hours for the sheriff's office. The sheriff told me in an email the budget cuts will impact existing issues of understaffing at the Fulton County Jail. Commissioner Abdur-Rahman said the budget must be a tool to hold all county leaders accountable, including the sheriff. Some residents we spoke to appreciated the county's efforts to hold the line.
It's a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of Fulton County to do what's legal, to do what's economical, to do what's efficient, and not waste our money.
However, not all commissioners feel the board acted genuinely, fearing the balanced budget will balloon by mid-year, falling on the backs of county taxpayers.
I think we sometimes end up going for what's tweetable here instead of what's going to really work for our citizens.
Commissioner Dana Barrett, who voted against this budget, cautioned property taxes could increase this summer to address countywide needs like funding a new jail.
I think there is an effort to just keep taxes low to please voters in an election year, and that's what we're seeing.
And that was Patrick Quinn reporting.